Good morning and welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Creatives, the show where we interview creative professionals, no matter what the industry. I'm Melanie Perry.
I'm Julie Hyde-Mew.
And this is On the Couch with Creatives. Fans of our show will know that we're part of the Creatives Group, the private network for creative professionals everywhere. Together, we help you to create at your best, connect you with like-minded individuals, and help you to grow your creative business. That sounds like a good idea to you and you'd like to talk to us, please don't hesitate to reach out to us after the show. We would love to talk to you. But this is On the Couch. So Julie, who do we have on the couch today?
Well, we have Kardar Challenger, and he is a chef. He runs his own business called Challenger Catering, which has been catering events in London for a decade now. He believes that every event deserves a touch of culinary mastery and says whether it's an elegant wedding reception, a corporate gala, or a cozy family gathering, his team is dedicated to creating unforgettable dining experiences. Well, Kardar has a very interesting story. He was a head chef at the age of 19. Let's get him on the couch so that he can tell his story himself. Hello, Kardar. Thanks for coming on the couch with Creatives. Lovely to see you.
Hello, how are you? Julie and Manley?
Yes,
Melanie?
wonderful, wonderful, thank you.
So let's start off with how you started off, because you now run your own catering business in London, which is quite a feat, but you obviously had a journey to get there. How did you start off?
Okay, how I started off, my family come from Antigua and Barbuda, and they came over, and we went to based in Ipswich, East Anglia. How I basically got involved in catering is through accident, because obviously my mother always used to try and get the children. There was 10 children altogether, to get some sort of part-time job. When we reached the age of like 14, 15, she wanted us to start go outward focus. So my job was, I used to meet her on a Saturday, and I used to keep thinking, what can I do? And she used to say, what are you going to do a paper round? And I said, no, it's too cold in the morning for me to do those sort of things. So it just happened that in Ipswich, there was the town hall, and I used to center myself to meet her there at midday every Saturday, so I can help her to do her shopping and things like that, so I can get pocket money. So on the left of me, there was a hotel. It's called the Golden Lion Hotel. And I used to every Saturday look at that hotel, and I used to say to myself, one day, I'm going to pick up the courage to walk in and ask them if they got a job. So I was around 15, 14 and a half, going on 15. And I said, when it comes near to my birthday, I'm going to really go for this. This is going to be my personal faith of leap in faith to myself, I said to myself. So I remember the Saturday coming up before my birthday, and I was standing outside Ipswich Town Hall, and on the left of me was the hotel. My mother was going to be meeting me within the hour, and I put myself where I had a time frame to do it in. And so I then just forced myself through the door, knocked at the door, and a lady was sitting in reception. And I said to her, excuse me, everything just came out very quickly. And I said, excuse me, I'm looking for a job. And she just said, hold on, what's your name? And I told her my name. And then she says, that's a strange name, Kardar. I said, yes. And my surname is Challenger. And she go, that's really, really nice. I like the sound of that. So she then said, okay, hold on 1 minute. I'm going to call it the chef. So she then got up, went to the kitchen, and she called the chef. And the chef came out, and she then introduced me to him and said, there's this young lad here. He's looking for a job. Have you got anything that you can help him out with? And then he says, you guess what? You have basically, you've come here at the right time. I'm looking for someone to help me on weekends to do breakfast, help the chef to prepare the breakfast on a Saturday and Sunday morning. Are you willing to do that? He said, so I looked at him and he says, but you're going to have to be here at 5:30 in the morning. I said, no. I said, what time? He said, 5:30 in the morning. You have to be here next week, Saturday. Can I trust you? Back in those days, you didn't have to worry about filling out forms. You didn't have to worry about health and safety. You could just basically, if someone introduced you to something, a job-wise, you could then just start. So I went quickly after we had the conversation. I went back out to the town hall, and I looked at myself, and I looked at my clock, and I knew my mother was going to be coming in 10 minutes. So I did it within that hour frame that I'd set myself to do my challenge to do it. And then so when my mother was coming towards me, I just said to myself, do I tell her or do I keep it as a secret? So because I weren't too sure if this was going to happen. So I said to myself, I won't tell her that I'm actually going, I've got a job. So I'll say to her, could you please next Saturday, could you wake me up at 4:30? Because I used to play football. So I would say to her, we got to go away. This is a little white lie. We got to go away to play a football in Felixstowe. Felixstowe is the next county. So she did know I used to go and play football. So I said, but I have to be up really early that morning. So she said, okay, no problem. And then I just left it, went to school, and then come the Saturday morning, my mother then woke me up at 4:30. I had a push bike, and I cycled down to the Golden Lion Hotel. I remember it was pitch dark, it was cold, it was a winter period month, and I don't know if it was around October or November time, but I know it was really cold. And knocked at the door. The night porter opened the door for me and says, chef told me that a young lad is going to come to help him. And I said, yeah. He said, that's me. And he said, okay, come in. And he took me in, and he took me into the changing area, gave me my first apron and my chef's jacket and my chef's trousers and my chef's hat. And he took me into the kitchen. And that's how it all started.
Voila.
Voila, yes.
What I'm interested in is that you had a bike, but you didn't have an alarm clock.
My mother was my alarm clock.
Good for mums, eh? That's what we
Poor
do.
mum.
We do.
Yeah.
Right. So after that, you just carried on up the ladder. I mean, you went from one position to the other.
Yeah, basically what happened was I was 15 and coming up to leaving school for 16. And I was I always appreciate how lucky I was, is meeting the right people at the right time in your life. And I wasn't too sure what I was going to be, what I was going to do career-wise. I wasn't the best, cleverest kid in the class. I was always like, in 30 kids in the class, I was probably number 27. Academical, I just used to just get on with it. Never got the A's, never got the B's. Always, I'm in the middle of the C's, D's, and right down to Z. I was just always the guy who survives in school. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So working in the kitchen, I just felt so comfortable. And there was a brigade of 7 guys all together. So here I was 15, and I'm working with guys, they were like in their 20s, 25, 30. The head chef around that time, he must have been around 35. The general manager, he must have been about 37. So I was the little kid, and I was just being nurtured by all these adults. And I just had so much fun. My weeks just like became days in a sense. I couldn't wait to get to work on a weekend. So my head chef saw how naturally I took to whatever he told me to do, and I did everything very quickly. So he says to me, what are you going to do when you leave school? I said, I really don't know. He said, why don't you go to college and train to be a chef? Because you got the natural gift. So with him telling me that, I just felt that's it. So he made an arrangement for me to go to Ipswich College through the hotel and the manager. So then I filled out all the forms. I had to wait to see what result I got from school, because you had to do five exams at school to get your CSCs, and then if you could get into college. So I just about got through to go to catering college at Ipswich College. So I spent 2 years at catering college in Ipswich. At the same time, weekends and some evenings, I'll go to work. And then that really just sealed me into the industry of hospitality.
And then after that, you left college, you went back
Yeah.
to the Golden Lion,
Yeah.
and became head chef at the age of 19. How on
Yeah,
earth
I mean, that
did
is
you do that?
something that most people would say, how is that possible? Again, it was all maybe the angels were on my shoulders, because I was 15, and by that period, I'd been with them for about 5 years. So I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So for 5 years, I was in their world, working with them. I had the same manager, I had the same head chef, and I had the same group of guys working with me. So what happened then was the company was bought out by another company. And so what happens when in these sort of situations, the manager then decided he wanted to leave because it didn't fit the new rules and regulations. And then within 6 months later, the head chef then walked away and says he doesn't want to work with this new company. And then the second chef, the sous chef, then turned around. The head chef then called him and says, Kevin, his name was, I've got this new job. Why don't you come and join me? Then Kevin turned to me, to us and say, well, I'm leaving next month. So then it left me with the other 5 guys. Now, the good thing was all those other 5 guys, they were older than me, but they would not take responsibility. I mean, some people are like that. They can be older, but they just don't want to take on the load of what's going on. So they turned to me, and Kevin said, look, I'm leaving. And then the new manager came downstairs and he said, look, the chef is leaving, Kevin's leaving, someone needs to run the show until I find a head chef. And then the other guys turned to me and said, Kardar will do it. So here I was 19, and I'm just like, I've been given this opportunity, and I didn't even know it was an opportunity. At first, I thought it was a bit of a burden because I just wanted to just chill out like everybody else. And then the general manager said to me, look, could you come upstairs? So he called me upstairs and he said, look, I'm now looking for a head chef, but if you can just hold the kitchen for me for a month, he said to me, I will do all the ordering, the admin side of things, but you just do the rota and work out the daily chores within the kitchen. And that's really what I'd want from you. So I went, okay, I knew what to do, because don't forget, I've been there 5 years and everybody else listened to me anyway. So it was an easy process. So it wasn't like I was thrown to the lion's den. So it was just like, I just literally just took the responsibility. And that's when I then realized what responsibility really was, leadership, then clocked into my head. So then what basically happened after that, a month went by, no head chef turned up. So I went home and I said to my mom, my general manager is offering me, I'm running the show. He hasn't told me he hasn't given me no increase. He promised me he was going to give me another head chef. I'm doing all these jobs. She said, what you do is just do it, but do it better than he'll expect. Then this way, he will owe you more than you owe him. So I went, okay, that doesn't make sense, but I'll try it. So she said to him, and don't ask him about the money. Don't talk about the money. Just do the job and do it better than anything. So I just got the team of boys together and I said, look, guys, it don't look like we're going to get a head chef at the moment. So what we're going to do, we're going to really run this place and make a profit. We're going to make sure there's no wastage. We're going to make sure the food looks good. And we're really going to turn this place around. And then everybody just came in with me. And then I spoke to the front of house manager, head waiter. And I said to him, look, you tell us what you want and we're going to really deliver. We're going to turn this restaurant and this hotel that lots of people would want to use it. It was really good as well that Ipswich Football Club at the time used to use the hotel because it's right in the centre of Ipswich. And it was owned by a company called Cobbled, the brewery people. And they used to bring the Ipswich Football Club after a home game, they used to use the restaurant because we had 2 restaurants. So they used to use the restaurant as an after game setup. And so that's how the responsibility for me became more highlighted, because they all used to come through and say, the food is good, Kardar, you're really good. So my name became a part of the whole setup within the hotel. And that's really how it happened. And then I still wasn't classified as the head chef. I was just doing the job. Yeah. So about 4 months went by, and then he called me upstairs. And then he said to me, Kardar, guess what? I've looked at the figures. The quality of the food is good. I don't see no reason why I shouldn't give you the head chef's job. I've interviewed quite a few people, and they just doesn't cut it. I think what you got, the brigade, a team of guys down there, I think you can do it. And then he told me how much he was going to give me. And then he tripled my wages, and I just could not believe what he offered me. And that's how I became the head chef at 19.
So mother was right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that Disney song, isn't it? From Tangled, Mother knows best. We do. we do. That's an amazing start. I mean, and a lot of responsibility for very young shoulders.
Yeah, it was, when you say it wasn't, because in a sense you don't feel it because you had a team of guys around you. Like I said, if I had sort of gone into somewhere where they didn't know me and I didn't know them, then it's a different ball game. But I think when I'd already been working with these other 5 guys for 5 years, we've all sort of grew up together. So we all knew what our strengths were, and we all just knew what we were best at doing. And that's why it worked within that period for me.
Yeah.
So then you headed off to London.
Yeah.
And we're told that 19 was too young to be considered a head chef in the capital city. So you had to downgrade your aspirations. You worked at the Ritz Hotel and then at the Hilton.
Yeah.
So you started setting your sights high.
Yeah, well, again, that was all, again, I came to a period, I always used to sort of put times on what I'm going to do next. And my birthday, I always use my birthday as my benchmark to make a change. And it was coming up to my birthday, it was like November time. And I said, I think I've achieved what I needed to achieve here. And I think I need to go to London by the time I'm 20, I said. So my 20th birthday was coming up in March, because my birthday's in March.
Mine
and I
too.
said, yeah, I'm a Piscean. So I said, I've got to get to London. So what I did was, back in the days, it's still around, there's a magazine called The Caterer, and you could pick that up every Thursday in the shop, and it will have, at the back of the magazine, it will have adverts of hotels, restaurants, all about hospitality. And it had an agency, several agencies at the back there. And I looked at it and I said, I'm going to apply, I'm going to phone one of these agencies and just see what happens. So I phoned the agency and I said to them, look, I'm in Ipswich, I'm a head chef. I didn't say the age. I said, I'm a head chef. I want to come to London. Is there anything that you've got available? And the lady said to me, yeah, so we've got loads of jobs. Why don't you come up and see us? So I fixed an appointment 2 weeks to go up there. And I came up to London. It was at Liverpool Street Station. We come out the station, you go down the bottom of Liverpool Street there. And as I came out, obviously, I found it and I went into the office. I sat down and I said to her, she gave me a form to fill out. And that's then when she saw my age, that I was 19 going on 20. So she looked at me and she said, well, yes, you've got these qualifications. Yes, you've been in the industry now going on 6 years, but you cannot be a head chef. I said, yeah, what do you mean I can't be a head chef? Because I put on my job I wanted was to be a head chef. So she said, no, no way, I can put you up for a head chef. But she says, you're going to have to downgrade. You're going to have to go down to be either a chef de partie or just a basic working in the kitchen. I can't even put you as a sous chef or a senior sous chef. No one will take you. So I said, because I said I wanted to go and work in one of the fine hotels, the big names, the Grosvenor, the Ritz, the Dorchester. So she had all those names there. And so she said, if I'm going to get you in any of these hotels, you're going to have to start from the bottom. So she said, what I'll do first is, she said, I'm going to put you up for the Grosvenor, the Ritz Hotel, and see what happens. I'm not making any promises, but I can't put you up as a head chef. I said, okay, that's fine. So I walked out of there, really felt really deflated. And I went back to Ipswich. 2 weeks went by. Then she called my mum, actually. Back in the day, we didn't have mobile phones. So she called my mum's house because I gave my mum's phone number. And she called and said, could you tell Kardar there's an opportunity of 2 places I can place him, but tell him to call me. So I called her and she said, well, I've got an opportunity at the Ritz Hotel and I've got an opportunity at the Grosvenor and the Dorchester, but you're going to have to go in as chef de partie. That means you're just basically working within a brigade of guys. But do you want to? And I said, okay. I said, well, what about accommodation? She said, they will offer you accommodation as well. So I said, okay. And I said to her, let me think about it. And I let her couple of days went by. And I spoke again to my mother. And I said to her, look, I'm going to have to, I've had enough of Ipswich because I've reached the pinnacle of what I think I can do here. Because in Ipswich at that time, there's only about 3 hotels and I was working in one of them. So I then said to my mother, I think I'm best if I go to London. She said, are you sure? I said, yes. And I said, I got an opportunity. She said, well, go for it. So I then phoned a lady and I said to her, I will definitely take whichever one you want me to go, I'll go for. And then she said, look, the Ritz are looking for commis chef stroke chef de partie. Come up, I'll set an interview for you. So that's how I got into Ritz. And I went and got in as a chef de partie. But I didn't like it. The culture wasn't great. So I stayed there for about 6 months. And then in the meantime, I got her to look for me to go to the Grosvenor. And so I then moved into the Grosvenor Hotel. And then from the Grosvenor Hotel, I got in with a group of chefs from there, like the chef from the Golden Lion. He then called me and said, look, Kardar, I think I've got an opportunity for you. I'm at the Hilton. Why don't you come along? And then so I went along to the Hilton. And then that's how I stayed with the Hilton.
And then you went to sous chef, and then you went to the Masonic Centre, and then you finally got your head chef position at the age, still very young, at the age.
I was 22. I was 22, got 23. I was going into 23, 24. So I was 23 then. And how that happened was I worked at the Hilton Hotel with this friend of mine, said as a sous chef. He was the head chef and I was a sous chef. And then I decided I need to just clear my head. And I said to my 2 of my brothers had then gone to live in America. And they kept calling me. Well, we had conversation. They say, Kardar, I reckon if you come to America, you could do quite well as a chef. You can make a lot of money. So I took 2 months off and I went off to America to spend some time with my 2 older brothers. And when I got there, I didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel right at all. So I got back to London and then I went straight back to the agency. And I said to them, look, I'm back. Have you got anything at all? And they said to me, look, I've got a job coming. We've got a job coming up. It's only for short term. You might be there for about a month to help the head chef. You're going to second him because he might need to travel. So he needs to show you someone to look after the building. So I said, okay, no problem. So I went along and I was only supposed to be there for a month. He went back to New Zealand because that's where he came from. So we worked together for about a month and then he went off because his father was ill and then he was supposed to come back. So here I am at the London Masonic Centre and they said to me, basically, Kevin, is going to be away. Another Kevin. I keep finding these Kevins. So this guy, he was Kevin as well. So Kevin might going to be a bit longer. So I said, okay, no problem. I had about another 6 guys working with me, and we were doing very well there from the things I do. And the months went by, and Kevin then phoned them and said to them, sorry, I won't be able to make it back because my father's got even iller than I expected. So the general manager called me and said, Kardar, Kevin's not coming back. Would you want to, because I was on an agency fee, would you want to stay, or we pay the agency your commission, your fee, but if we pay the agency fee, will you stay with us for at least a year? So I said, yeah, I'll stay for you for a year. I like what's happening here. The standard of the food is pretty good. And so that's what basically happened. So a year went by, and then the general manager came to me, but after another year, and he said, by the way, Kardar, the directors of the Masonic Centre decided they're going to freelance out the catering. They don't want to manage it anymore. What's your plan? So I said, well, look, if you're going to get another company in, I'm going. So he then went back upstairs to the directors and said to them, look, Kardar made a decision that if you guys freelance out the catering, he's leaving. So then about a month went by, and then he came back to me and he says, the directors want to have a word with you. So yeah, I'm 24 now. And they called me upstairs. I met them. I knew all of them because they used to come all the time, and the food was good. Everything was well. They said they knew me. So I went into the meeting and they sat down, and they just turned to me and said, look, Kardar, we still feel we're going to franchise out the catering, but we want you to be a part of it still. We don't want you to leave us, because all the members, they all like your food. They like the way things are, but we just feel we don't want to carry the burden of being the whole catering side of it. So what we've decided is, if you want to, we will back you to start your own business. So I looked at that, I just could not believe it. It's just like,
that's an amazing offer. They must have really held you in very high esteem.
Besides, I don't really know, but that's what happened. And just generally, I was taken back. So I said to them, look, I can't say yes because I don't know how to do the whole thing. But let me go away and let me talk to there was 2 ladies downstairs, and they used to front the house, do the waitering side of things. And I obviously was at the kitchen, back at the kitchen side of it. And so I went downstairs and I said to the 2 girls, I've just been given an opportunity, but I don't want to do it on my own. Are you willing to come in with me as partners? And we'll run the business together. Because you know the front of house, I know the back of the house. Are you happy to work along with me? And so then I said to them, look, you go home, because they're both married at the time. They were much older than me. They were in their 30s and I was 24. So they had to go into their husbands and tell them that there's an option. They used to just be workers. Now here they are. They're going to be directors of a company with a young black guy who they don't even assure that he can. They know I can deliver food-wise, but business-wise, it's a new territory for me. So
it is very often creatives, people can create things like you create great food, but when it comes to doing business, they're away with the fairies.
It's a different feel altogether. Yeah, totally. It's a complete different hat you have to put on. But what I always felt was I always used to use people around me who's stronger in different departments, because I just used to identify people and I say, okay, you're good at that, you get on with it. And then I used to be on top of their back if something goes wrong. The same I used to do in the kitchen. If I see someone's good at pastry, I'll say, look, you do this, you do that. But if it goes wrong, then I'm able to go up and say, look. And they still used to feel that even if I'm not as good as them, they still used to say, yes, I'm sorry. So I learned from the kitchen from the age of how to look for the strengths in people and then
delegate.
Yeah, I knew I couldn't do everything. So I used to look for the strengths. So they came back and they said, yeah, they're happy to do it. So I then went back up to the directors and I just said to them, look, guys, I can't do this on my own, but I'll take the two ladies, and they knew the ladies anyway, Agnes and Vera, the names were, to work with you. So they then said to me, okay, then we'll set everything up for you. So then they just literally, we had to come up with the name of the company. And then I then had to go to the bank. They organized all that. They got us the loan through, back in the day, it was Maggie Thatcher used to give small business loan back in the early days, because that was the time when they were pushing for small enterprise and business. So they got us a Maggie Thatcher small business loan. And then we just got that first loan that we had to have. Here I was 24 and I was given £45,000 as a loan to start the business. And obviously that money just got swallowed up within a week of wages, food costs and everything. So, but the beauty of it was, because it was a fixed business and I knew my customers were coming, 300 customers every day, 6 days a week. We knew it, not like we're waiting for customers. So we knew the business. I knew if I made a plate of food, I knew I was going to sell it on that day.
You were in a very strong position actually to start your own business.
Yeah, well, just like it was a non-loser. It was not like you're opening up a restaurant and you're waiting for the customer to come in. My customers were already there. The only difference is that I have to make sure the standard and the quality of the food was kept to their liking. So every day we do about 300 covers every day, 6 days a week.
Right, now, Kardar, we need to go on now. Obviously, we need to get to the point and about burnout, because at the end of the day, you're a head chef and you're running your own business, and then you started to burn out, which a lot of people do. When they've just got too much on their plate, it becomes really overwhelming and you are everything to everybody. And so what happened from there before picking up again?
Okay, basically what happened was I got into my 7th year of doing this thing. So I'm going into 31. And I just basically was working 6 days a week. Even on my day off, I was obviously had to go and see the accountant, had to make sure the figures were right. And so I was working, and I never had any social life as such. So my life was work and the business. The reward was great. I could see every year we were making a profit. I could see every year I bought my first apartment. So I had a fancy, nice little sports car. The money was there, but I just couldn't do it anymore. So I even was lucky enough to find my wife. We got married, and then I went back home to Antigua for my honeymoon, and just relaxed. And once I relaxed, I was there for about a month. I felt that there's like a load off my shoulder, and I come back to London. And I said to the two girls, I'm out of this. I'm going to do one more season and I'm out of this. I can't see myself doing another season. So I then said to her, I'll sell my shares to you. I'll set someone up with you. And then we got a chef and we set everything. We had about 9 months to do all the transition of me coming away from the business. And then I took my share and I just that's it. I got married and I just stayed at home for about 6 months. But I then decided after that's because I needed that time out, that burnout time. So I took 6 months out and then I said, okay, what do I do next? So I said, I always wanted to do, like I said, bakery, patisserie wasn't my strength. So I took all my money and I then went back to the bank because obviously I had good track record, and I borrowed some money and I opened a bakery. And I was going to do bake products and then deliver it out to different customers, hotels, restaurants, and things like that. Not open it. So I had the bakery shop, as well as I had the retail side of it as well, and the wholesale side. So that took all my money and all the money that I borrowed. So I took a big gamble in going into another side of the business that I wasn't good at, but I didn't have a backup system. And I tried for 3 years, going on 4 years, and it failed. I was getting in debt. So I then decided to shut the whole thing down after 4 years. And then I said to my wife, I think I need to go back to the hotel business because this is not working. So I then had to shut the bakery down. That's my first failure in the time I was growing. And I shut the whole thing down. I got rid of the bakers. I had 3 baking guys with me, and I just started from scratch again. And I went back to the hotel business. So I then went back to an agency, and I just applied for jobs, and I went back into Hilton. And because I had a period with Hilton, they had me on file. So it was easy for them to pick me up. And so then I went back into Hilton, and I went back again as a sous chef. So I went back down again. So to me, I didn't mind because I just I needed to get back into it. So I went back into Hilton Group. They wouldn't give me a head chef's job. And they said, well, we got a sous chef's job. And so they gave me the sous chef's job. And now within a year, they gave me the Hilton Islington. I took that over. And then I became the executive head chef there. And I worked with them. And that's how my hotel business, my hotel transition went back into that again. So I then stayed with them for a little while. But the thing is, once you're running your own business, or once you do things your way, you just always remember that is the best way to go forward. And so in the back of my mind, I always knew I was going to start my own business again.
And you did. So
Yeah.
today, you started off as a side hustle, didn't you?
Yeah, so what I did was I knew I couldn't sort of because with the bakery, I had the money to just throw myself into it. I knew if I had to go back into business on my own, I had to do it slowly and build up my clientele to make sure I got guaranteed customers. And I remember why it was a success when I was at the Freemasons, because I had my customers. You can't run a business if you ain't got customers. You know, lots of us, we all set out, say we're going to do this. But the first thing you got to do, you got to find customers, because that's what makes the business. So what I did was, while I was at Hilton, I used to make sure I talked to a lot of business people who would build Hilton for conferences, for different things, or different companies. So I built relationship with the marketing people within those business. And so then I would then say to them, if ever you need anything privately, I'm happy to come and do it. So then they'll call me to do their weddings or their parties or their mum's anniversary and things like that. And then within doing that, I then start build a name. So once I did it for about 2 years, and after I felt I had enough marketing people out there that could come back to me, that's then when I started Challenger Catering. So I then set up Challenger Catering, and that's then when I went for it full time.
Yeah, because you obviously had by that time a solid customer base, and you could take that leap of faith again.
Yeah.
And what does Challenger Catering offer to the people of London?
Okay, what we offer basically, like I said, I don't believe in a restaurant. It's not. If you look at where I've come from obviously a hotel background in the main. So what we offer is, if you have got a company, and within that company, you don't want to look after the catering side of things, so we will manage that for you. So we're like contract caterers. So we'll come into your company and we will then take over the whole catering side of it. The people within the business will think it's your catering facility, but we're contractors. So we're coming in and we contract the food side of things and look after it for you. And that's what Challenger Catering does. So in a sense, we're challenging the status quo within the food and within the food, so that you don't actually know. You think the company is the one who runs the catering side, but we're the one. Challenger Catering is the one that does it.
Isn't it a wonderful surname you have?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I thought I'll use it the best I can. It was given to me, so I thought, why don't I use it? And when I was going to come up with a name as well, I think, why call it anything else but Challenger, and then the catering at the end of it? Yeah, so that's what we do.
And having the Challenger, your namesake, you haven't stopped just at building your own business, have you? Because you also have a charitable arm to your business, where you've set up education for people back home.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I felt as well, basically, my mother and father, very Christian, had certain values about giving, charitably 10% of whatever you earn. They didn't sort of, I'm just saying they give that, but they had that sort of, we had that teaching as growing up as kids. So when I saw the business got to a level that it was doing pretty well and I was comfortable, I thought, okay, what do I do with the money that I've got spare? So I thought, I'm not going to be buying a BMW or a fancy car or do this or that. I said, I'll start a foundation and I'll give back to my island of Antigua and Barbuda. So what I decided, I talked to my wife, obviously, first about this, and I got 5 children. And I spoke to them about it, and I said, look, we got to give back. There's no point, whatever we've got around us, we just got to, I just feel we just need to do this. So I contacted where my family come from. Is a small little village in Antigua, and it's called Wilkies. Now, like I said, I named my company Challenger Catering, but I didn't want to name the charity Challenger Foundation. I felt it needed to have more of an identity of a place that's in existence, and Antigua and the village is called Wilkies, the village that my family comes from. So I named the charity Wilkies Educational Foundation, and the aim of the foundation is to help education, because education, I was lucky that I came to England, and I think the school I went to in Ipswich gave me a good education. The people I met in London gave me a good education. So I thought, what can I do? And that's why we started the charity. And what the charity does is, we started nearly 5 years ago, and the charity basically collect books, computers, laptops, and everything, and take it down to a primary school. It has to be a primary school that's in the rural area, not in the center of Antigua, because they usually get looked after. So we look after the outer side. In the villages, we focus, and we build libraries inside the school, and then we donate books. I mean, and computers, laptops, and medical stuff. And that's what the charity does.
Well, hats off to you, Chef.
Yeah.
What top tips would you give to aspiring chefs?
Just love what you do. I mean, it's whatever career you choose, you just gotta love it. You gotta just, when you wake up, it's become a part of who you are. I was lucky that every job I went into, I could just express myself. It's like an art. It's an art form. It's a different sort of art form than drawing pictures on a painting, but it's an art form. You put it on a plate. And the key thing is the reward you get back from when your customers say, "Look, I love that. How do you make that? Can you give me the recipe?" So that is the key thing. When someone comes to you and you feed 500 people or 2,000 people, and then one person come to you and say, "Can you give me that recipe?" You thinking that is just, you can't ask for no more than that. the tip I give to any chef, just enjoy what you do. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it.
Even if you have just that one out of 2,000 that says, wow, this is a piece of art.
I've had that where we've done, like at the moment, one of my goals was to work in stadiums, football stadiums and rugby stadiums. That's what Challenger Catering does. We go in and we does work with them, and you're feeding 2,000 people, and one person, the person who book you or the person who asks you to do the work, come to you and say, can you give me that recipe? So that is the icing on the cake. That's what you need, because you're not just feeding one individual person, you're feeding 2,000 people within 4 hours, and everything went off to tea. That's really what the beauty of it.
What's your next tip?
My next tip, well, be happy in your surroundings, your family life. Give back. I think I always say, don't always take. If someone gives you got to give back. That's my next tip. Always remember someone else need, and advice as well. Help younger people as well to bring them into the industry and give people opportunities. That's what I've tried to do. I've got quite a few young guys are working with me, and I try and explain to them it's going to be a long road. It's not easy, but just keep going. Never give up. One of the other thing as well. Always have the determination that tomorrow is going to be another day, better day as well. And it will be another day, but you can make it better. That's the next tip I would advise someone. Never give up.
Yeah, what advice would you give to people who have climbed the ladder and they burn themselves out?
The tip, what I'd always say, you got to look. Yeah, career. There's two things I find in life. You got a job, and you got a family, and you got extended family. So you got your own. If you happen to be lucky enough to have a wife and some children, they're very important to you. So when you're going out to work always and thinking that is it, that's not what it is. You have to have different boxes. And so if one box is not giving you what you need to have the other box is there to support you. So it's about making sure when you're climbing the ladder that you've got other people up there to support you. You can't be on your own. You can't do it on your own. So I'd always advise any head chef or any career person, yeah, great. You can get the career, but the career is very limited. You've got to have these different boxes that you can fit into. And when you're in those boxes, the people around you appreciate what you're doing for them and what they're doing for you. So that's how I see it. Is make sure that all the boxes, and as they say, tick. Yeah.
It's very difficult to have this work-life balance when you're in the service industry. You work crazy hours, crazy.
Yeah, you work unsociable hours, but then when you're not working, you got to give the time, the hours that you're not working, not just come home and just flake out or anything like that. You have to pick yourself up and you have to do things with the group. Same as you do with the work environment is the same you have to do with your family or your friends. If that's what you are. If you're a single person, then you have a little bit much more flexibility to maybe meet 2 or 3 friends. But if you are married and you got children, you got to give them the time because they're an extension of you. So you got to be able to deal with that.
Can we quickly talk about the creativity that is involved in making food?
Yeah.
Do you follow recipe books? Do you create your own dishes?
Yeah, I mean because I've been doing it from the age of 15. I know the methods, all the different methods of cooking. So with most people, boiling, steaming, roasting, You know, these making sauces. So like, just to say generally, if I know the different ways to make different sauces, there is a science behind everything in cooking. It's not like a man, you go in a lab, you pick little bits out. It's similar like that. So I would know, let's just give example, if I'm going to make a bechamel sauce, as one of the basic, the white sauce, I know how much butter to put in, I know how much flour, I know how much milk. It's a natural, because I've been doing it. I've done it maybe a million times. So if I ask you to make a pint of bechamel sauce, you would first the word bechamel, you just tighten up. Then you get the scale and you start weighing the flour. You'd be getting the milk. You'd be getting the butter. So you're just literally starting the process. Then I would have finished the sauce, because I know just by cutting a small piece of butter, I know by pick up a spoon and taking that much flour, I know the milk, I know how to turn it. I know when the heat comes on, how it works, just like by the eyes. I can just put a pan on. I know when I put the butter in, the butter moves at a certain level. I know when to put the flour in. I know when to put the milk in. It's just like a process, like it's like an athlete, someone who wants to be a runner. I want to be 100-meter runner. So you know how to pick up the speed of doing things. And that's generally what food is all about. It's about the more you do it, the better you get at it. It's similar as this is what I would say. And so I know how to cook sauces. I know bakery. I know how to cut meats. I know you give me a fish, I know what to do with it. It doesn't faze me. You give me a chicken, I know all the different joints within the chicken. I know the temperature to cook the breast to the leg. So I know the leg will take longer than the breast. I know if I'm going to poach something with a piece of fish, I know what to do. So it's just like that. If you do it often enough, you just get good at it.
So Kardar, who cooks at home? If you're cooking all day in your job, do you cook at home as well?
My wife does the cooking at home, and sometimes her cooking tastes better than mine.
Oh, bless you.
But
I love it.
yeah, but sometimes, yeah, I mean, I cook at work, but most of my cooking now is not as much as I used to, because it's more I'm running around talking to people and delegating more than the cooking. But I still get involved in it, but not as much as I used to. But it's inside me, so it's a natural thing. I mean, I can just go to a fridge, take things from the cupboard, and I can just make something up very quickly. I can feed one person, or I can feed 2,000 people.
Wow.
You know, yeah.
We're going to get inside your psyche now a little bit to finish off this interview. We're going to play a little game with you that we do with all our guests on the couch. This is our on the couch part of On the Couch, getting into that beautiful mind of yours. I've got some cards here, and we're going to play the values jam game. And I'm going to run my finger along my card. You're going to pick a card, and then we'll ask you creatively about the value on that card. Just tell me to stop when you're ready.
Stop.
Oh, right.
She never listens the first time.
Stop. Yeah.
I do. It's just that Zoom runs a bit behind. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is a really good one for you. You picked the value of gratitude. And we've been talking quite a bit about gratitude. So we're going to ask you creatively, as we're creators on the couch, about gratitude. So, Kardar, first of all, what does gratitude mean to you? If you could see it, what does it look like?
It's well, for me, gratitude is number one, my mum and dad. I really appreciate them. Secondly, my first group of guys and mentor that I worked with, the manager, the chef, the other chefs I worked with when I was 19, just working with those guys for 5 years. I still connect with a lot of those guys even up to today. We still We still know each other. So that's 50 years of friendship that I've had with a couple of them. So that's gratitude. The gratitude is that what I look for is long-term relationship. Build long-term relationship.
I like it. What does it feel like?
It feels warm, because when I'm with them, I feel safe, because I know they know me and I know them.
Lovely.
So it's a comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's warm. It's feeling. I can't bull them. I can't tell them anything. They know me. They know me inside out. We just like, it's not about what I've got, what I've done. It's just about, we talk about the silly little things, like when I cut my finger, when I cry, or, you know, it's those sort of things that we've got our own little comfort, laughter, and our own little things that we remembered 40 or 50 years ago. That's it's like, in a sense, a second family. Like, you remember things you happened with your brothers and your sisters, but you've extended it out with other people.
Now we're going to appeal to the chef in you. What does gratitude smell like, and what does gratitude taste like?
Gratitude smells, it's sweet. It's like, it's sort of like a perfume, a fragrance. It's a fragrance. So like a very when I'm cooking something, and I can smell the bakery side of things, you know, like when you open the oven and you smell the bread, or a cake. That smell is very gratifying. You know, you can just, you know, you're on the right track, and when it rises, you know it's at that right level. That's a good feeling. Gratitude, yeah.
And what does it taste like,
and
chef?
Then the taste is like when it goes into your mouth and your tongue, and it just melts. It melts away on top of your tongue like ice cream, but it's not ice cream. But you just want more as it goes down. You just want to go back and take another piece. It tastes nice, very nice. Yeah.
It's been wonderful talking to you, Kardar, and meeting you and hearing your story. Thank you so much for coming on the couch.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, it's been wonderful. Thank you everyone for joining us as well. And until next time, we'll see you.